There's a possibility that former President Trump could be back on social media. Facebook is mulling over the decision this week whether or not the former president could or should be allowed on their platform. Joining us to talk about this is Travis County GOP Communications Director Andy Hogue and Jamar Brown, a Democratic National Committee member. Now, Facebook's oversight board will rule tomorrow on whether Facebook should lift the suspension of former President Trump from the platform. Andy, do you think Trump deserves to be allowed on Facebook?
I absolutely do. And I say that because social media in general has made a mistake. It became more sensational and much less conversational. And ever since about, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years ago, ever since, Mark Zuckerberg famously said pivot to video and memes and GIFs became the rulers of the roost on social media, we've seen just more divisiveness and less quality in our conversations, even though quantity may have increased. On that note, it seems that per post engagement has dropped 65% since Facebook began policing content, including Mr. Trump. So while I do think that Trump may not be the best for what they want, what kind of content they want on social media, I think our country is a lot better off when we discuss these things calmly and rationally. And maybe it's a combination of the two. Maybe we get Mr. Trump back and Facebook begins to do things that encourage, calm conversation, not so much the sensationalism that we've become used to.
Okay. Jamar Brown, what do you think? Should Trump be allowed back on Facebook?
One of the things I believe that we have to realize about Donald Trump is that he's very dangerous for a platform such as Facebook. We know that over the past few years, he has used Facebook as a platform to spread misinformation, which led to violence, which led to discrimination, which led to negative policies for our country. And so I'm of the belief that when Facebook really analyzes this, they will go back and review their own internal audit that even said that a lot of his behavior led to things such as Stop the Steal and things such as the insurrection that we witnessed on January the 6th. And so letting Donald Trump back on Facebook will be detrimental and will also be problematic for that platform in terms of how misinformation is spread. And what will end up having to happen again is that Facebook will have to take further consequences or even ban him again if they don't have certain mechanisms in place. And so I just believe that it will be extremely problematic to let Donald Trump back on, because while we don't see him every single day as we have before, his behavior has not changed. And I don't think that will be reflected in letting him back on the platform.
Andy, what do you make of Jamar's argument?
Censoring someone does not do anything for the free exchange of ideas. All parties benefit. Republicans, Democrats, independents, anyone benefits from an exchange of ideas. And it comes with a high cost when we begin policing every single user of the World Wide Web. I believe it's 2 years ago when Austin-based Accenture had a problem with that, when employees walked off the job because of being subject to the worst of human behavior for 8 hours a day, looking at all kinds of pornographic images, depictions of violence, hate speech. It got pretty bad, but I would say despite all of this and even all the fact-checking we've seen of late, it hasn't really done anything for the national dialogue. As a matter of fact, the Washington Post recently suspended its fact-checking operations. So I say we're better off when we police ourselves.
Jamar, what do you think Facebook will ultimately do?
Well, I think Facebook has to analyze what is best for the platform in terms of allowing people to, yes, have their free speech, to share political opinion, to share their political thoughts and opinions. But one of the things I think that's also important in terms of what Facebook has to analyze is how are they upholding the rules of community use, and how are they doing that in a meaningful way? And so I believe that Facebook will do what's best for their policy. I believe that Facebook also has a role to play, because it's not just about censoring someone's speech. It's not about that. It's about making sure that we are providing safe and productive platforms for us to discuss politics, to discuss how we make a difference in our communities and those sorts of things. And so I think that Facebook will need to lean heavily on their own community use policies, which Donald Trump has violated on multiple occasions.
Okay, well, Facebook isn't going to make their decision tomorrow. We are out of time. Jamar and Andy, thank you both very much.
Yeah, I agree with the first part of what Jamar said.
All righty.